Hello, everybody. I am Hoarder Gamer, and this is Hoarder's Comic Flex. I want to thank you all very much for being here, or, watching whenever you decide. Don't have to watch live. That's the beauty of YouTube. Anytime is your time. So, today we're going to talk comic books like we usually do. We're going to talk about toys. We're actually not talking about TV, but we'll be talking about games today, including Gotham Knights. In fact, that's mostly what we'll be talking about is Gotham Knights. Then we peer into the future. Look into our crystal ball, all the way to 1 week from today. And that's good. I do have audio. I always forget to check that, but I did, and we're good. We seem to have audio. So, we're going to start with a new comic book, which was really good. I thought it might be, based on who's involved with this book, but I feel I'm already going to want more. As far as I know, Minor Threats is a 4-issue series. And I guess hopefully it'll be volume 1, right? And they'll do like a volume 2. Comedian Patton Oswalt, okay? And Jordan Bloom of Blumhouse Films. I believe it's Blumhouse Films. If I have that name wrong, please forgive me. But like, this is a really cool book. And I agree. Neil Gaiman actually gave a comment about it today. And I agree. It does bring to mind things like Watchmen. Here it's kind of interesting, though, because it's the villains. You're seeing this from the villains' perspective. And you're seeing it from low-level villains. Like, not like murdering people and stuff like that. Like tying them up, taking the money, that kind of thing. And it's pretty interesting how this all works out. A Robin-type character is murdered. And a Superman facsimile and a Supergirl facsimile, we see them in this issue basically trying to get answers. Someone else trying to get answers is Frankie. She is used to be known as as Playtime. That was her name. And her mother, that was like her mentor, like a Batman Robin type thing, except, quite a bit different. And she was the Toy Queen. So Toy Queen and Playtime, right? And Frankie feels like she never had a real childhood or anything like that. And her power is basically making things in her subconscious like machines. And they take the form of toys mostly. And the idea being that she didn't have a childhood because she did whatever her mother wanted. And she's having difficulty getting a job. She actually works at a supervillain bar as a bartender. And this is a really good book. I definitely recommend it. There's a lot of cool covers for it too. I actually got here. Try to show this one off. Right there. Now I want to say that's the Stickman on the cover, which is a character that's in a comic book, and it was Mike Mignola and Dave Stewart did this cover, I believe. But yeah, I really liked it. I definitely recommend it. I'm interested to see where it goes, and it's kind of like these villains have all gotten together and they're like, okay, we got to figure out what happened to Kid Dusk. Because otherwise there's going to be massive blowback on us. It's really neat. It's a neat concept. I'm hoping I'm doing it justice. One of my favorite plot points is there was a giant a Godzilla-type creature, a kaiju that was defeated. And basically they built like apartments around it. So you see like eyes and tentacles and stuff inside windows and coming out of the roof of the building and people living below it. A pretty neat thing, actually. But yeah, Minor Threats is really good. Like, I'm really impressed by it. This is a book where I'm not just like, it's pretty good, maybe I'll get another issue. I will definitely get issue 2 of Minor Threats. Right now, unless something goes terribly wrong, I'm down for all 4 issues. And I'd actually like to see another arc or whatever they decide to do. Who knows? Maybe it's a story that can be told in 4 issues and it sums up everything. I don't know. It's possible. Stranger things have happened. Stranger things have happened 4 times on Netflix. The 4 seasons of Stranger Things. Sorry. Okay, now, usually we talk about TV and comic book related TV, but She-Hulk isn't until tomorrow, or incredibly late tonight, depending on what time zone you live in. Well, still, it's technically tomorrow. It's still Thursday, but, you know. It's like, is it midnight? Is it 2 a.m.? Right? So, we'll talk about the new episode of She-Hulk next week. Today, we are going to talk about Gotham Knights. We have had some amazing information about the game. I would say an embarrassment of riches. Trailers, gameplay, you name it. IGN firsting. I got thoroughly firsted by IGN. With all the awesome content that they have for Gotham Knights. The new trailer. Okay. We knew about Mr. Freeze, right? We knew about Elliot Center. We knew we had to take on Mr. Freeze and his insane weather machine. We didn't know he'd have a freaking mech. I also feel that that mech might be a different battle. Perhaps we fight Freeze more than once. Like, I knew that the supervillains had multiple missions. It wasn't just like one with each supervillain. But I didn't know we'd fight the villain more than once, you know. So that's pretty cool, because that's where it seems to be headed. Also, a while back they said when you fight the villains, depending on what level you're at, basically it's a different experience. They pull out new tricks, things like that. So that's cool. And hopefully that's still the case. I want to say that was over like a year ago where they talked about that. That was a while back. And, you know, some things do change in the development of the game. James Sigfield, someone I follow on Twitter, said that this is going to be a massive game. And because people were already worried about how many villains were announced and, like, that there's not going to be much to do in the game. But this is supposed to be a massive Bat Family experience game. This is supposed to be just phenomenal when it comes to how much you can do in it, the amount of villains. Like, there was a rumor a year and a half ago or so there was going to be more villains than any of the Arkham games. I'd love that if it's true. Would it be funny if they just went by the fact that it was the Talons? There's so many Talons, it's more villains than all the Arkham games. That'd be a little bit of cheating, really, you know? Because you could basically just say Court of Owls and Talons, right? You don't expect that each Talon by name is going to be the villains that they're talking about. I really want Scarface, or Ventriloquist and Mr. Scarface, very badly. I've wanted them for years in a Batman game, and it would be cool to finally see that happen. Be very interesting, too, to see if some of the characters from the Damian Wayne game, the villains, I mean, are going to be in this. Because that's possible. I don't know for sure yet, but it's definitely possible. Did anyone else see the trailer? What did you think of the new Gotham Knights trailer? The one that they showed at Gamescom. I had some other Gotham Knight notes here. I was impressed with it. I've seen the trailer now like 3 times. I'll probably watch it again after this stream, to be honest with you. But yeah, Clayface looked awesome. And I think that's in-game. The texture that he takes where he goes through the bars is wild. I really like that. Someone was joking around that's why the game had to go next gen only. Pulling off Clayface, it had to go next gen only. That's the reasoning. That's the reason. I sincerely doubt that's the case, but I thought it was funny when people were saying that online. What other villains does anyone else want? Harley looks awesome, by the way, in the new outfit. She has like the messy looking makeup, looks kind of crazed. There's that wild scene that looks like it's an Apple press conference where she's like in a lab coat with the glasses on the stage. The type of thing you'd expect, like, you know, where Steve Jobs would have been. So it seems she has some interesting plan. Or scheme. It's going to be exciting to see the power vacuum that results in the loss of Batman. Like, the villains are just going to basically set Gotham on fire. And at first, they're not going to think too much of, like, Nightwing, you know, Batgirl until they actually prove themselves. They're not in terror of all those heroes. Maybe Red Hood. His reputation precedes him. But I don't think they're all terrified of, like, Robin, Nightwing, and Batgirl. Not at this point. But Batman was the kind of hardest fear, you know? That was kind of his weapon. We also got to see the awesome Red Hood skill tree. And there's 3 skill trees, and then you unlock a 4th one called the Knighthood tree. And then there's momentum. There's like a momentum tree, which seems to be like keyed into certain buttons on the controller or something. It was hard for me to understand exactly how that worked, the momentum part of it. But I was happy to see that there's that much customization in the way you make your character. You know, we can have 2 Batgirls, we could have 2 Red Hoods, but they can be totally different. Right now, I'm looking at my Red Hood being a hybrid, so melee and ranged. I was going to go initially completely ranged, but then I saw the crazy moves Red Hood can do that make him more akin to like a wrestler. And I was like, okay, that's cool. But he also has this really neat thing with these like phantom bullets. And I'm like, that's amazing too. Yes, I'd like that as well. So I'll probably do a hybrid for Red Hood. I think that's where I'm headed with that character. Robin is probably going to be stealth for me, to be honest with you. And I wasn't expecting to play a lot of with Robin, but I really like the Assassin's Creed games, and I like Deus Ex using stealth, so I'm a fan of that. So I might do a lot more Robin than I expected. It'll be interesting, too, to see how each character complements one another. So when we're doing co-op missions, it might be better for me to play as Robin and use stealth, and then I believe when I use stealth, you use stealth too, I think. I think that's how it works. Similar to Marvel's Avengers, where like Black Widow uses stealth, and that's what happens with the other players that are near her. Thor uses lightning and charges up the other players around him, so they have that ability for like 10 seconds, 20 seconds or something. Also, I believe it's elemental bullets, I think you can have for Red Hood. And Batgirl is supposed to be really good at hacking. So that'd be interesting to see how important hacking is in the game, right? Because right now, we really don't know. It could be a really minimal thing. It could be something that's, you know, really cool and used in a lot of missions. When I heard about the trailer and they were talking about the corrupted police, I was thinking Prometheus. I was thinking Prometheus was going to be in the trailer. Before that, I was definitely hoping for like Clayface or Red Hood. But like I said, Ventriloquist and Mr. Scarface too. I'm sorry, Clayface and Harley. I didn't mean to say Red Hood there. Sorry. Harley always makes things a little crazier, a little more exciting. And I very much like the take they had of her in the Arkham games. But I'm looking forward to this take too, you know? There doesn't just have to be one version or one take of a character. The Batman comics gone on for what, almost 84, 85 years? I think it was what, 1938, 1939? The first issue of Batman? Tomorrow, we get to see a Harley boss battle. So that's going to be really cool. So, we're in today. So because we're in today currently, I can't talk about this boss battle. I'm expecting it to be pretty awesome. But, yeah, I don't know. Not yet, because we're not in tomorrow yet. This episode is going to turn into Inception. It's going to be like 4 or 5 of me talking and like layered and then like nothing really exciting. So not really like Inception, more like, you know, a chore for anyone watching. There won't be some cool thing with a car slowly falling or anything like that. Also, I spoke with Hero Mentor and I Am Life of Dreads. We did a really cool podcast on Gotham Knights. It's available on Spotify. That was a lot of fun. That was on Saturday I did that. And I definitely want to talk to more people about... well, I want to talk to Hero and Life of Dreads again for another conversation. But I'd love to talk to other people, too, about Gotham Knights, because I'm very excited about the game. Has everyone pre-ordered it? I'm of two minds when it comes to pre-orders. If it's a Switch game, pre-order it. If you want a physical copy and it's a Nintendo Switch game, you might want to pre-order it. Every now and then there's issues with those cartridges that those games come on, and it's kind of nutty. Like, oh, that game, it's gone, it's sold out. Especially if it's like a smaller company. Like, if it's not an actual Nintendo game, if it's some other company, like a third party, that can always be a little bit freaky. Also, if you love the game, you love the series, feel free to pre-order it, right? I'm also very particular, though. I recommend pre-ordering in a retail store. That way you're just putting down like $5. You're not just dropping like 60. Some of these... online stores and things, they'll just charge you immediately the entirety of the game. And maybe you decide after some other previews you don't even want it. You know? Also, we found out through IGN First a little bit more information about the Gotham Knights comic book. Hey, Misplaced, how you doing? We found out that issue 2 is going to come with DLC for special kind of ornamental Eskrima sticks for Nightwing. They look really cool. They look kind of turn of the century, like metal and wood. They look really nice. They look different than his usual, which is like kind of the black with the blue line in it. I'm doing well. I'm doing well. Just talking about Gotham Knights. Most recently talking about the comic book, Gotham Knights, Gilded City. Number 1 comes out in October, the same day as Gotham Knights. And has DLC of a special Bat-Cycle skin variant. But then IGN first revealed that issue 2 will come with DLC for special Eskrima sticks for Nightwing. And as I mentioned before, I'm excited for this comic book because it got Evan Narcisse to write it. And Evan Narcisse has worked on Black Panther. He also did some of the writing for Black Panther, War for Wakanda from Marvel's Avengers, and a number of other comics. So this will be very exciting. And this takes place in modern-day Gotham and in the mid-1800s. So if you've read the Court of Owl comic books, that can be very exciting. And without any spoilers, I did mention that there's a character here named Runaway that they talk about. That could be their version of someone by the name of William Cobb. I'll just put that out there. That could be the version of a character, William Cobb, that was in the Court of Owls comic series. But I will not give any more details because I don't want to spoil that in case that's what they're doing with it. But yeah, there's going to be 6 issues of this comic, 1 every month. And it's going to come with DLC. Each issue will come with DLC. So I'm guessing like maybe Batgirl will get a special weapon, maybe a special outfit or something, right? I don't know exactly what all the DLC is going to be. But if you get all 6 issues, you get a 7th piece of DLC. And I think you can get the issues digitally and physically. I'm not exactly sure. Like, most comic books are available digitally. I don't know how they would do the code, though. Maybe they email you the code. I don't know. It's a good question. Also, one of the greatest artists in comics, Jim Lee, does one of the wraparound variant cover. And it looks awesome. He also did one of the suit styles for Gotham Knights that you get with, I believe it's the deluxe version and the collector's edition. Like, not all the versions have it, just certain ones. But yeah, very excited for Gotham Knights. I think it's going to be awesome. Everyone else excited for it? Everyone else see that new trailer? Are you hyped? Are you more hyped or less hyped than you were before? Or are you at the same level of hype? Are you so hyped that you would become an animal called a hippopotamus? Is that the level of hype that you're experiencing? Because when it comes to Gotham Knights, I am definitely a hippopotamus. I am. I think it's going to be a lot of fun to play with friends. Might even be more fun to play with enemies. No, but I'm looking forward to the co-op. I'm looking forward to single player. I love the idea that co-op apparently means that, like, I could go look for, like, collectibles and someone could join me in my version of Gotham and just fight criminals and I could join them later. That's really neat. I wonder if we have to be a certain distance from each other. I wonder how that all works. Or is that why they needed it to be next gen only? It could just be the size of the world, right? It could... I don't know exactly the reasoning why it had to be next gen only. I'm not upset about that, but I do understand why people would be. Because, you know, they thought if you had PS4 or Xbox One, you could play the game. And then they were like, unfortunately, no. Although playing Cyberpunk on the PS5, I can tell you right now, after the update and everything, it's a really awesome experience. it sadly shows me that maybe that's one of the reasons Gotham Knights had to be next gen only. You know, they didn't want to deal with the problems that they would have, you know, having previous gen and current gen at the same time. But if you just joined us, everybody, just talking about Gotham Knights, excitement for it, and IGN firsts, and how IGN has been heavily firsting all of us this month. Yep, IGN has been giving us all a thorough firsting. So, that is the end of our game talk. Unless anyone else wants to say anything, feel free. You can bring up Gotham Knights. You can bring up any other superhero-based games. Heck, you can even talk about non-superhero-based games. I just try to keep focus, so I myself won't go into too much detail. I will be honest. I did like the new Hogwarts Legacy trailer, but for any time I talk about Hogwarts Legacy, I also have to mention that J.K. Rowling is a TERF. Has terrible ideas about the transgender people, and more recently actually said some really kind of squirrely things about other members of LGBT. So it seems like she's just very mentally pliable. Like, she'll read someone that's supposed to be supposedly like an intellectual, and she'll be like, oh, I see their point, and just change like that. So I don't think she is a ally to anyone in the LGBT community, to be honest with you. I'll just put that out there. I think the game is going to be awesome, but my plan is to actually give a donation to an LGBT charity when I purchase Hogwarts Legacy. And I'm trying not to talk it up too much. I will just say, though, that the trailer they showed was cool. Okay, so now we are actually done talking about video games. We're going to talk about toys. We're going to toy around. If you know me at all, you'll know that I like to toy around. And look at this gentleman right here. Badam! Ghost Rider. Now, I want to say this is Danny Ketch. Okay, I don't think this is Reyes. I think this is Danny Ketch. It's a really nice figure. It has an extra head that's on fire. So you get the actual... Hold on, let's make this bigger. Let's not worry about looking at me. I know I'm completely, like, super hot, but like we can take a moment away from me, right? We can look at these toys here. That skull can actually be moved up and down. So if you think it looks weird with his mouth hanging open, you just close it. I think it looks actually better that way, seeing multiple pictures of this. He has his whip, which also has little bits of flame on it. This is retailing at $27.99. It's going to come on a big, thick cardboard backing that's supposed to look kind of like the old school packaging. It's a lot like more heavy duty, though, than the old school packaging was. Yeah, $27.99. I think it looks really good. Not available at non-toy places. What I mean by that is like Big Bad Toy Store, Entertainment Earth, and where else did they have that? Of course, at Hasbro Pulse. They had it. However, Hasbro Pulse is sold out right now already. But yeah, I think this is a really cool figure. I'm impressed with the sculpting on it. I love that it comes with the extra head. So yeah, I thought that was pretty cool. I wanted to show that to everybody. Also, we haven't had a lot of Ghost Rider love on this stream. Or this show. I like Ghost Rider. It's just that I read the first issue of the newest series that came out, and I liked it a lot. But I mean, at some point, you just have to be like, okay, I liked it. I didn't love it. You know. Hey, everybody. Look at these handsome gentlemen. Null, the god of the symbiotes, and Venom. Not just Venom, King in Black Venom, with these gigantic, awesome wings. I like the way they did both the characters in this one picture. I've shown the other, like, larger pictures of each separate figure, but I really like this picture, and I thought it would be a good idea to show this because this was originally going to come out in December. Now it looks like it was going to come out in October, and people are getting notified that this could ship in September. So, yeah, just something to keep an eye on. I don't know exactly when it is shipping, but really cool collection. Those two figures, the Necro Sword. That's the same sword that was in Thor Love and Thunder. It looks different, but it's the same sword, the Necro Sword. So, yeah. Right from the comic books. It has been since 2018 that I've wanted a Null action figure. And we are finally getting one. Null, the god of the symbiotes. Let's see here. And now, it's not always just looking at toys, everybody. It's also giving news about toys. You know, things that collectors might want to hear about, or even just people that like certain, you know, series. Hey, Mike, how you doing? Target does something called a Geek Out every now and then. And that's exclusives that they have of different companies. So, as you see, I believe it's every Friday, is it? They have different things going on. So, McFarlane Toys was... I can't read that date. Hold on, I'm sorry, I gotta make this larger. August 26th. Okay, so McFarlane Toys is this Friday. And then August... Is that 31st? I can't see what that other date is. Anyway, so we have McFarlane Toys, we have NECA. NECA does a lot of awesome toys and a lot of horror movie toys. I've been waiting for NECA to do toys for the movie Us, as well as toys for the movie Nope. One toy for Nope, I'll say. I'd like them to do a toy for Nope. We'll just say that. Segment called Toying Around. It is called Toying Around. Joanna, hello. So we got NECA, we got Mattel, we got G.I. Joe and Funko. Out of all these, the ones that really excite me are G.I. Joe, because I like the G.I. Joe classified line. That's one of the only lines I really like collect, and just kind of the Cobra characters. But NECA, like I said, they do amazing horror movie characters, and they might have some really neat announcements, some neat exclusives. Mattel has a ton of different things. It's very interesting, too, that it's G.I. Joe and doesn't say Hasbro. I know they don't have anything specific Transformers. Or I guess Star Wars, because Star Wars is going to be Hasbro as well. Mattel could be Barbie, could be He-Man. Hard to say exactly what that's going to be. Now McFarlane, this could be Batman. This could be any of the Warner Brother characters. It's hard, very difficult to say what the heck this is going to be. But yeah, that's the Fall Geek Out, and it starts on Friday. New exclusives dropping soon. So. 2 years ago, I think they had the Batman 66 figures, and those were really cool. They had Batman, Robin, the Joker, and they had a Bat Cave, like the old school Bat Cave from 1966. It looked really neat. Now, that was our toying around for this week. We're done toying around now. No more toying around. Now, we are going to look into the future. All the way to 1 week from today. First off, we have something a little bit interesting, a little bit different. Neverlanders by Tom Taylor. Tom is kind of one of the toasts of writing in comic books recently. And Neverlanders is going to be a graphic novel that's actually like geared for like all ages, but it's clever. So it's not purely young adult based. It's hard to explain it. Let me tell you what Neverlanders is about. I actually took a picture with a breakdown of it. Bee and her fellow runaways are their own found family. So when a stranger named Paco saves her life, Bee invites him to join their crew, thinking he's another lost teen, someone else the world has overlooked. The truth is Paco's not just a lost teen, he's a lost boy from Neverland, and he needs Bee and the others to come back with him. When the group is then spirited away by a foul-mouthed Tinkerbell, they discover that Neverland is not some fun-filled hideaway. It's a war zone under siege by a horde of pirates with a merciless new leader. So I thought that sounded pretty awesome. And Tom Taylor has written some truly fantastic comic books. So this could be really exciting and could be a huge hit. Like, this could end up being like an animated film. You know, there's a lot of cool things that could happen if this takes off. But I think this sounds really neat. Also, you have the option of getting it in softcover or hardcover. And it's only like a $4 or $5 difference between the two. $16.99 and I believe $22.99, I think. But yeah, Neverlanders comes out next week. Next up, Batman 89. Okay. This is cool. I've talked about it before, but this is the collection. This is issues 1 through 6 of Batman 89. This is basically the Batman movie after Batman Returns, if Tim Burton was still doing the Batman movies. Sam Hamm is the writer of the original Batman. And it's the idea he had, or like the movie had, of having like Billy D. Williams play Two-Face. So that's the actual version of Two-Face you get here. And you get an interesting version of like Robin. It's really cool. I liked this a lot. And this is the collection. This is a hardcover, so it's going to be $24.99. It's 6 issues. So I mentioned like 2 months ago, wait for the collection, because they were at issue 4 or 5. And I was like, at this point, I don't recommend running out and trying to get those back issues. If it was earlier in the series, I would say go ahead. But at this point, I said, you know, probably wait for the collection. Here it is right here. Batman 89 hardcover. I believe it's $24.99 is the price on that. And again, all of these come out next week. Here's a much more affordable choice, everybody. $7.99. Amazing Fantasy. Starring Spider-Man. Okay? This is basically Amazing Fantasy 1000. So this is a big event book. And Neil Gaiman is on this book. Dan Slott. Terry Dodson does art on it. I believe Ryan Stegman. It's going to be really cool. It's going to be all these different like tales of Spider-Man and Spider-Man's villains, and kind of like a celebration of the character with some of the best writers and artists in Marvel. I think even some maybe from other companies too. But like this is going to be really cool, and at $7.99, I think it's probably one of the main things coming out next week to be excited about, to be honest with you. But yeah, Amazing Fantasy Spider-Man. And there he goes. There he goes. Now, does anyone have any suggestions, any books you want me to review, any shows you want me to talk about, any toys or anything you want me to bring up? Let me prime the pump, okay? I'm priming the pump for all these suggestions and these questions. So you have some time. You have a couple minutes or so, because the next thing we're going to do is do our final review of this show, and that's going to be Batman, White Knight, Red Hood, #2. That's a mouthful, isn't it? Isn't that a hell of a title? Oh, I'm sorry, I even forgot a word. Batman, White Knight presents Red Hood, Book 2. Okay, so Batman Beyond the White Knight has been a really cool series. And basically, in between that is this 2-issue story arc involving Red Hood and him basically taking on a new Robin to train them. And they go up against Shriek, who you can see on the cover. And it's all about Jason Todd realizing that he's able to lead, that he's able to do this, and that this person is ready. And he's basically tempering the whole idea with training her, but also being responsible for her. So it's pretty interesting. It's not super heavy because it's only a 2-issue story arc. Okay? But the 2-issue story arc will lead directly back into the final 4 issues, or 4 or 5 issues, of Batman Beyond the White Knight. So the new character, Robin, her actual name is Gan. This is her story. And it's a story of Jason Todd realizing that he can be a leader. So I thought it was really good. I liked it. Do I think it's hypercritical to have this? I cannot say yet. I don't know how it's going to work in Batman Beyond the White Knight. What I can tell you is, though, Batman Beyond the White Knight has been a really cool read, and I've liked it a lot. If you love the Batman Beyond the cartoon series, or when it was, I believe, in DC Unlimited, or Justice League Unlimited, then I think you should definitely check this out. Also, too, though, you might want to read Batman the White Knight, because that's the first book. Then there's Azrael has a book. Harley has a book. It's its own, like, Batman mini-universe, to be honest with you. But yeah, I really think it's excellent. And, yeah. Well, actually, let me preface that. I think the Batman White Knight is excellent, and so far I think Batman Beyond the White Knight is excellent. This is good. This is very good, but again, it doesn't seem to be super critical. You need to have these 2 issues. My guess is what they'll do when they put everything into a trade is they'll include these 2 issues. I don't think they're going to do a 48-page trade. Maybe. I don't know. It's pretty small. You know? Because it's like, well, each one's like 20 pages, each issue. And Hero Mentor, who likes Red Hood, I figured would get a kick out of this too. Also, this is the first time I've been able to review an entire series. What I mean by that is I reviewed issue 1 or book 1 a month ago, and now we just did book 2. So, yeah. The first and last issue. Everybody, do you have any suggestions? Is there anything you want to talk about comics, gaming, anything like that? Yeah, earlier we talked about Gotham Knights. I'm super excited for that, in case you didn't catch that part of the show. Was just kind of fanboying over Gotham Knights. And all the villains that'll possibly be in it. I know for sure I'm going to be getting the Spider-Man book of the Amazing Fantasy 1000. I don't know, though. If I review it, it'll probably be the only book I review because it's going to be a large book. It'll probably be anywhere between 64 to 90 pages. So if that's the case, I'll probably review that. And that'll be like a longer review, like what we did last week with Batman Riddler, One Bad Day. I think that makes the most sense. Well, everybody, if we do not have any suggestions, or, oh, Mike, let's see here. I can speed read. That would take me 3 minutes, and that's enjoying the artwork. I don't believe you. I don't believe you. First off, I will start with, I don't know if you would have full comprehension of it. And that's not me mocking you. That's me saying of 64 to 90 pages, you're going to have full comprehension of everything. Plus, my guess is it's at minimum 7 or 8 different stories with different artists and everything. That alone can be a little bit disorienting. Now, after reading it, you also have to do a review and figure out what you're going to talk about, what characters, what stories you liked from the book, and everything else like that. So, like, this, for example, it doesn't take me 3 minutes to read a comic book. That's not 3 minutes. I'd say about 15. Average comic book, probably 10 to 15 minutes, depending on the book. Now, depending on the amount of dialogue, if we're talking about Watchmen, maybe about 20, 25 minutes. It's very dense when it comes to a dialogue. So that's going to take me a little bit longer, something like that. But yeah, I mean, so for me reviewing the comics, I go and get the comics the day of, right? So I come home, and then it takes me about, depending on the artwork and how into the book I am, we'll say anywhere between 10 to 20 minutes, maybe 10 to 15 minutes per book. So that's like a half hour right there. And then I have to figure out, okay, what am I going to talk about? There have been times where I've read a book and said, oh my God, I don't know where to go with this. And I ended up reading a different one and did a review on that one. That's happened. That's happened. But like, there have been things where I'm like, oh my God, I haven't had any of the previous issues. None of this makes sense to me. I don't know any of these characters. That has happened. I don't really want to say what books those were, but yeah, it's happened. And in that case, I need to have that extra 15, 20 minutes to read another book and decide what I'm going to do. If worse came to worse, it would just be one comic book review, whether it's a long one or a short one. You know? That's not the end of the world. We just compensate with the other parts of the show, or it's just a slightly shorter show. I'd say the show can be anywhere between a half hour to an hour. That's why I watch Rob on the channel Comics Explained. I like to read the books. I like to have the action happening in my head. Like, there's art and everything, right? But in your head, sometimes those pictures start moving, you know? I'm not talking about, like, schizophrenia or anything. I'm talking about, like, you know, your imagination just starts taking over. And maybe as you're reading it, maybe, like, you start doing the character voices, you know? Things you do when you read a comic book. Even a novel, right? It's just how it is. It's just how it is. But yeah, any other suggestions? Any comic books you want me to review? Anything you want me to talk about, like, next week or anything? Like I said, Amazing Fantasy 1000, that's almost a guarantee that I'll review that. You know what? I think that's a 5th Wednesday, isn't it? Hold on here. Let me look at my calendar real quick. Okay, August 31st. Yes, that is the fifth Wednesday. Let me explain what that means. When there's 5 weeks of comics, that means a lot of companies won't even have any big books to come out next week. So, like, this Spider-Man book is kind of the huge book that I would say is coming out, besides the, some other really cool DC books and Neverlanders and stuff. But, like, a lot of the other big popular books came out earlier in the month. So, other weeks are open. There used to be a time where they had an entire, like, story that happened on the 5 week months. Like an event. That ended, though, I want to say, like, 10 years ago. 5-10 years ago. But yeah, everybody, if no one has any suggestions, I want to thank you all very much for watching. I greatly appreciate it. I also want to thank Doom Squad Gaming and Doom Squad Gaming YouTube channel for letting me borrow their channel for the show. Thank you. I stream on Twitch under the name Hoarder Gamer. I'm very much looking forward to Gotham Knights, where, if you watch this show, you know that. And I'm excited, too, for The Last of Us remake. I think that's going to be pretty neat. The original being one of my favorite games of all time, so. I believe we also have a block party coming up, Doom Squad Gaming block party on Friday. However, I am at a loss because I cannot remember who is hosting, and I feel terrible about that. 1 second here. Give me 1 second. It might be on Saturday, actually, now that I think of that. Yeah, give me 1 second to see if I can find that info. Yes, but the Doom Squad Gaming block party will be awesome. Check out our Twitter, or check out the Doom Squad Gaming Twitter. And, yeah. It's going to be Friday or Saturday. It's usually Fridays, but I think it might be moved to Saturday this week. Again, thank you, everybody. Thank you very much. If you like the show, tell other people. Thank you for putting up with me. I appreciate it. Yeah, I'm just very enthusiastic about comic books and comic book-related characters, as well as toys and everything like that. A lot of what's been deemed nerd culture, I guess. So yeah, thank you very much, everybody, and I will see you later. Thank you. Bye-bye.